honestly, coming to faith was incredible because it gave me a hope that I needed so desperately. I mentioned my family was addicted to drugs and very
Hmm.
broken, drugs, alcohol, and so it was also physically abusive. So there were times where I would come home and one of the worst fights, my stepdad was choking my mom. And I had to
No
get in
way.
between them. And so I was just this young teenager trying to find hope in the midst of all of that. And got invited to Bible church down the street and kind of started to explore that a little bit myself. And
Welcome to the Onsite Podcast. We chat with contractors, educators, industry professionals about the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between. So without further ado, let's fucking get into it.
All right, welcome back to the Onsite Podcast, episode 50. It's crazy. Today we've got one of the contractors from the community, Jacob. Jacob is with Inner Magic, a renovation contractor. And dude, I'm excited to get into this with you. I know that you're soon to be a father. And so I feel like we'll have a lot of great conversations. Appreciate you coming on.
yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm excited for the conversation today.
Awesome. So Jacob, tell us a little bit about who you are, what is Inner Magic, and where are you from?
Yeah, so I'm from Rochester, Minnesota, and I grew up in a construction family. So we were in residential and commercial. That's kind of what I grew up in. And my favorite story for that is being on a commercial site and we were doing like acoustic drop ceilings, and my uncle and my dad let us jump off the ladders into like bundles of insulation that weren't wrapped
Oh,
or anything. So
oh no.
they were very much the kind of like, we're going to let you learn by real world experience and kind of have fun and go crazy. So it was fun.
That's wild. So you were in a family remodeling business. So your dad and your uncle were they partners, or what was that like?
Yeah, my dad and uncle were partners, and then my other uncle also worked with them. So they did anywhere from like commercial acoustic ceilings like that for schools and big buildings, all the way to some light residential remodels, but nothing, no whole home remodels or anything that was really organized. So
Hmm. Are they still operating right now, or where are they at with that?
yeah, I think my stepdad's still a GC, probably doing some stuff, but they had other issues with drugs and alcohol, so that kind of
Oh,
torpedoed a lot of, hard to run a successful business with that going on.
no, yeah, for sure. I mean, it's hard enough just to run a construction business alone,
Yeah.
without any, devices, so to speak. And, I think you've been a pastor,
Mhm.
or maybe you are a pastor. And so you kind of leaned into that side. So I'm Catholic. And I was baptized when I was younger, and I remember going to church when with my grandparents. Dude, I would always fall asleep. Always falling asleep, but I was there for the bread and the little drink there at the end, and I really enjoyed it. And so at some point, I just stopped going. Right, like my grandparents passed away, and that whole world just kind of changed, and we were kind of forced to figure life out on our own. And so, I was
Mhm.
raised in a pretty not like heavy religious family, but we said prayer before dinner and stuff like that. And we would go to church on Easter Sunday, which is right now, even though this is being aired, that's coming up. And
Mhm.
so Tom, one of the contractors in the community, he's been on the podcast a few times. He's leaned into faith just with, he was addicted to drugs and alcohol, and went clean, started his business. And so he's 3 years sober, maybe 3 or 4 years sober,
Wow.
and 3 or 4 years into business as well, and killing it right now. Like you've seen, his wins in the
Mhm.
community, and it's crazy when you lean into the other device, when you lean into faith and stuff like that. And so for me too, I've recently picked up, some, I guess, services, online services with
Mhm.
CBC out of San Antonio. It's a young, energetic, fun
Mhm.
service. It's they're singing, and it just really gets you up. And the way Tom projected it on me, honestly, was he just sent me the link. Like he just kept sending me the link. No statement, no nothing. Just sent me the link, and then periodically I just got kind of really into it. And so now I kind of look for that on the Sunday. And so I've been doing the same thing, with my kids and with my
Mhm.
mom, and just trying to like not pushing on them, but just open the door like it was open for me, and it's really helped me, just recalibrate myself in addition to all the other things that we're doing here. And so, long story short, I'd love for you to kind of share, a little bit about that side of your life, and so we've got a lot of listeners all over the world that either believe or don't believe, which is entirely up to them, and I think it'd be cool for you to share a little bit about that life, as well as the their construction company.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I'm glad to hear you guys are doing so well and that Tom's doing well. That's amazing. For me, honestly, coming to faith was incredible because it gave me a hope that I needed so desperately. I mentioned my family was addicted to drugs and very
Hmm.
broken, drugs, alcohol, and so it was also physically abusive. So there were times where I would come home and one of the worst fights, my stepdad was choking my mom, and I had to
No
get in
way.
between them. And so I was just this young teenager trying to find hope in the midst of all of that, and got invited to a Bible church down the street and kind of started to explore that a little bit myself. And then as I
What
started
age was
to,
that? What age was that?
that was about sixth grade. So about
Hmm.
11 years old.
Yeah.
But I began to explore that even outside of church myself, and found a real experience in that changed me, which is what makes me believe the most. And my family saw that, and they did not choose to believe, and so now they're like, oh, you're trying to be better than us, and so they would
Yeah.
criticize me constantly. And so that really helped me develop this tough skin, that I have
Hmm.
to rely on now a lot in business. So.
Isn't it crazy that when you try to do something for yourself, when you try to, lean in, create a life for you, that the people that theoretically are the closest to you, are the quickest sometimes to push you away, like I think that we all just try to roam the earth to create, the best experience we can for ourselves. And everybody has a different path and a different journey. And I think if we really care about somebody, I think we should support them, whether they choose to do what we do or not. I think that it is entirely up to each and every individual to choose their own direction. I didn't know that part of your life, and so I'm sorry that you had to experience that, but sometimes what we go through helps define who we become. I know you're excited about being a father, and you guys just did your, what is it called, a reveal,
Gender reveal, yeah.
yeah, gender reveal. And so why don't you share with the audience what are you and your wife going to be having?
Yeah, so we were expecting our first kid, a baby girl,
There we
and
go.
we just announced that at a gender reveal party with some family and friends. And somebody was asking me recently how everything was going, and I was just thinking I haven't smiled as hard as I did that day since I got
Hmm.
engaged. So
Yeah.
yeah, it was amazing.
I remember when you shared with me that, your wife was pregnant, and there's, the pressure and the fear of all those things come up. And,
Hmm.
I'm a father of two, and I've got a little girl as well. And I mean, even though she's not a little girl anymore, she's still my little girl. And it's a cool experience right from the beginning all the way to, when they grow up and start telling you to F off and all the things under the sun. So, those experiences are great regardless. So I'm excited for both of you. That's exciting. And the craziest part is too, like, I was raised in my mother, and my grandparents were a huge part of my life, and my father was not in my life. And so, when you go with like I believe whether you go with like an absent father or a dysfunctional father, so to speak, I think that it just changes you as the father that you are. I'm pretty proud of the father that I am to my kids. And I think some of it, unfortunately, is shaped by my childhood, and I think that will probably happen a lot with you as well. I think you will be an incredible father primarily because you've witnessed what it looks like not to be, and so for your little girl, that's part of the life experience that I think we go through. I think we go through shit to better the lives of other people sometimes, and just to change the path and the direction. Because if you think about it, like, you're now surrounded by faith, and you've got, positive people in your life, and there's, good energy all around you. Your little girl will have that as well. And so you've kind of shifted the genetic direction of your life. And so, those journeys, I think, are the hardest. I think when you're creating a redirection, so to speak, in your family, in your name, and in your legacy, I think that the journey, unfortunately, is a little bit harder. My journey has been challenging for sure. And I've just leaned into it as much as I can, and try to just really focus on giving my kids a great experience. So I'm excited about that for you and your wife, and that's awesome. But I see you in this purple shirt, and so I'm sure you got some of that from Mr. Beast. I don't know if you're familiar with Mr. Beast's little marketing thing. When you look at a field of cows, what makes them stand out? Nothing. Not absolutely nothing,
Right.
right? But what if one was purple? If one of them was purple, then it would obviously stand out. And I don't know if that's what made you choose your color or your branding, but that is a true thing that he talks about in one of his videos. Did you know that?
No, I mean, I'm familiar with the purple cow theory, but I didn't know that he mentioned it or anything.
Yeah, he had mentioned it. Cool. So tell us a little bit about your company. What is behind Inner Magic?
Yeah, so I started Inner Magic about 4 years ago. We celebrate 4 years August of this year,
There we
and
go.
started off with some small bathroom remodels and working up towards primary suites and moving walls and more structural stuff. So that's pretty exciting. Yeah,
Cool.
it's kind of a quick overview.
Quick overview. And you service, where do you service exactly again?
Rochester, Minnesota, kind of anywhere within about 30 minutes of that.
Okay, awesome. And so what kind of projects do you have, on the go or coming up right now that you want to share with us?
Yeah, a couple of bathroom remodels going on right now. One of them has been really fun because this was a customer that didn't have the money at the time last year, but wanted us to do a primary bathroom for them. And she came back this year. And when we talked the first time, she was, just talking about how much it was and how picky she was going to be. And so I knew like this was going to be a challenging remodel, but honestly, her and her husband have been amazing. They're picky and very detailed, which is an excellent stress tester for our business.
Yeah.
But it's they've been respectful and patient and kind through the whole thing. That makes it a really fun experience. Another one is another bathroom that's coming up where it's going to be, it's a pretty large bathroom, probably 15 by 10 or so, and
Okay.
then
For primary
walk-in.
bathroom?
Yeah, another
Mhm.
one. Walk-in closet nearby, and they want to change, bring the toilet room into there, and then just kind of have like a 15-foot wall of vanity and cabinets that's just, kind of a main staple. So that's going to
Cool.
be pretty
I'm
exciting.
excited about that. Any main floor remodels or anything like that? Any remodels going on or coming up?
No, nothing, main floor, whole home. And I kind of wanting to get a few more reps in, because we just kind of implemented JobTread with the subs and stuff like that. So I kind of want to get a few of those reps before moving into something bigger. And I was listening to, I think it was probably the JobTread podcast. And, one guy was talking about how sometimes just those kitchens and bathrooms can be more profitable and less stress, just
Mhm.
because it kind of matches your current growth as a company.
Yep.
And so I'm like, yeah, whole home would be exciting, but I want to make sure that we're in a good place to handle those
That's
well.
good. No, that's wise. I've seen some of the bathroom transformations that you've done, and I love your content. I'm always on you to get more content out there all the time. But I love when you put your face on camera, you explain, and it's almost like you're natural, with it. So, if anybody wants to follow along with you, where can they follow your projects?
Yeah, so on Instagram, it's just Inner Magic Kitchen and Bath.
There we go.
So
There we go. Yeah, Inner Magic Kitchen and Bath. You can check out Jacob's projects that he's working on.
Hey, we've got an ad here. Make sure to pay attention. What's up, guys? Are you a contractor or business owner looking to take things to the next level? Well, I've got something for you. The Elite Builder Society is a community that helps contractors grow and scale. For $49 a month, you can have access to 20 group coaching calls. Look, you're probably wondering, how am I going to show up to 20 calls, Brandon? That's a lot. And yeah, it is a lot for $49 a month, but every call is recorded so you can watch it at your leisure. But you get the best experience when you're live on the call with us. Okay, at the end of every webinar, there will be a Q&A where you can ask the industry expert questions that you can implement into your business. Look, if you're ready to take things to the next level for $49 a month, go to ebsworks.com and register today. I look forward to seeing you inside the community.
Got some great projects, lived an interesting life. I think so many of us live this interesting life, in some way, shape, or form. Like, we all have shit, you know what I mean? We all have shit that we've gone through or we're going through. I think that's what most people always honestly also forget, that everybody has their own shit that they've experienced. And so, sometimes along the way, we're faced with challenging clients. So everybody can relate with challenging clients, challenging people that come into your life. And so I'm curious, I know you had one client you did a great job for. They were super happy, but then they had a tenant, I believe, and the tenant then threw you a 1-star review for some maid up shit, and that's our business. It's our life. And finally, you got it down. But tell us a little bit about that experience that took place there.
Yeah, that was really discouraging, honestly. Tough not to take that one personally right at the start, but did kind of a quick small bathroom remodel for somebody who owned a townhome kind of nearby us. And they had a tenant that was gone most of the time. And then, about halfway through, we were waiting on some stuff. And so I, quick silicone the bottom and everything so they can use the shower. It's the only bathroom, so I'm trying to like be courteous and be understanding of their season of life and everybody that's in there. And then this tenant starts taking pictures of everything when it's not completely finished, and then she blasts us with a 1-star review and basically this long paragraph to say like, if you want quality work, don't go with this person. And so it's just
And you were trying to do them a solid so they could still use the shower in the bathroom with temporary, with temporary trims and whatnot. Exploited that.
Yeah. So
man, that is discouraging. Stuff. And so you even reached out to the client. I believe the client was aware of that. That person actually moved out right after that, or even before you were able to be finished. But recently, you were able to get that review down. Where did you? I might as well share with the listeners because I'm sure people out there have experiences with 1-star reviews, and I know there's companies that can help you pull those down. But where did you? Do you recall what the company was that you got that pulled down from or with?
Yeah, I was getting, I think it was like Meta Ads or something like that for Renew Local, and his pretty automated system. Connect your Google profile and stuff, and authorize a payment hold for $375, and you don't pay until it's done, and you can like see proof of it on your profile. So like,
How quickly?
Well.
How quickly was it down?
About a week.
Oh, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Cool. No, I mean, reviews are everything. That's what we strive for. We strive to exceed your clients' expectations, which is what you were doing. And then it came back around and kind of, dinged you there. So is there any other experiences, any other challenging situations that you experienced, along the way that you want to share with the listeners today? Any other hard projects that, really kind of opened your eyes to defining what this industry can really look like?
Yeah, I would say there was one. It was my first project. Once I'd become an official LLC licensed and everything, and that was kind of a Hail Mary in itself. But I just tried to do too much that I wasn't experienced in. So she wanted a custom vanity, and I had just been able to purchase like not even any kind of cabinet tools. It was a job site Milwaukee table saw and chop saw. It's like I'm gonna try and make custom cabinetry with that, and it's so.
Oh gosh, right out of the gate. So it didn't work.
No, it didn't work. But this is, me and this customer, we had connected really well. She was a person of faith, and she had just lost her husband a couple years before this, and I'd lost my brother around the same time. So we were, like connected. It was great. She was unreasonably patient with me, which was so awesome. But she, I ended up not being able to finish that custom vanity. And so she just ended up purchasing something. And then I'd made like the linen closet wrong as well. But I mean, it looked good. It was just a, 6-foot single slab of wood panel, which you need to break that up so it doesn't warp in a bathroom.
Yeah.
So didn't do that stuff, but, kept a good relationship with her. And she last year recently called me back to do a closet remodel in a new home that she's in. So I was like, okay. So
you didn't piss her fully off. She
no.
She wasn't fully scared away, dude. I appreciate you sharing with that. And sorry about your brother. I didn't know about that either. So life is crazy in so many different ways. I remember my first project as well, and I appreciate you sharing and being open to that, because like most people aren't like confident enough to share their positions of growth. So my very first job, I mean, it's decades ago, but yeah, I wasn't formally trained, just wanted to do remodels. And so, ended up doing some finishing work and not formally trained, no idea how to do any of it. Just dug into it, which I think is pretty awesome. It was a disaster. Like I think I used a whole box of caulking on this house, and fortunately it was paintable caulking. Some of it was not, also because I didn't know there was a difference. But man, what a mess! I can't even believe I got paid for that. Like some of the worst craftsmanship ever. And then a few years later, I end up working with a master finisher who had unfortunately drug problems, big drug problems, and stole some tools from me and whatnot. But like, I worked with him for almost 2 years. It was a bit of a roller coaster, but man, did I ever learn. I learned some shit. Like, I learned some shit that most, high quality finishers don't even know. And that's just kind of what the experience looks like. You throw yourself into something, and along the way you pick up the tools and the knowledge and the resource to overcome those challenges. And so I appreciate, with you talking about the whole home, remodels and stuff like that, just kind of slowly leaning into that. If you're capable, honestly though, if you're capable of successfully doing a bathroom and a kitchen, those are the two most challenging spaces in a home. The other elements that exist in, the bedrooms and the closets and the master is featured walls, trims, custom closets, like just mostly millwork stuff, and so you are capable of doing a larger project if you're capable of doing, a bathroom from front to back with your almost eyes closed. And if you're capable of doing a kitchen from front to back, almost with your eyes closed. And if you have those capabilities, then, I think that you'll be more than capable of a large full floor renovation. And I'm glad that your client called you back after that. My client definitely wouldn't have called me back. Like, there's no way. They actually didn't know. They didn't know it was bad. Like, I was like, this is not good. Like, this is really bad. My doors they were hinge bound. The doors were installed not straight, like not square. So they were kind of like, they were opening and closing on their own. It was so bad. Some of the worst work I've ever done. And then you go from that to, working on multi-million-dollar projects. It's wild. That's right. Literally what the roller coaster looks like. Dude, anything else you want to share with us? Where's Intermagic going? Like, you've been 4 years into business. We've been working together for just over a year, I think. Just over a year.
Yeah.
Something like that. Where's Intermagic going? What's the plan?
Yeah, honestly, just looking to continue to ramp up our schedule and our projects. I've completely stepped back from the field now, minus a few like rough carpentry things. And so that's exciting because then I've been able to implement JobTread fully. So, being able to connect with subs on that, and they have all been on board with JobTread too, which is just, I feel like I hit the lottery there. Kind of amazing for that. So excited for that.
What's up, guys? I hope you're enjoying this episode of the On-Site Podcast. So here's the deal. We want to grow this show and we need your help. It's simple. Pay the tax, share the show. That's it. Let's get back into it.
We're focused on only JobTread, so we're not biased or anything. Like, I've used Bullet Trend, I've used co-construction, I've used all those different things. We've looked at working with Jobber, but like JobTread, I like their product for several different reasons. Like the fact that I can just connect with the CEO at a moment's notice. Like, I was talking to him before, like at Connect, I was talking to him via text because I wasn't there this year, but I'm going to be there next year. But I was just literally texting him. Him and I was just chatting before he got on stage, and I think that's just an incredible product where you've got this product that's got over 10,000 users now, and so that's one great part. When you can talk to the owner of a business, game changer. But then also just the technology integrations and the seamlessness that it offers, it really helps, contractors really streamline their business. And, I know when you and I started working together, you were doing a lot of the stuff internally as well. You're doing a lot of the plumbing, a lot of the tile work and I mean, getting through it. Right. But like, there are other people that are probably better at the things that we're trying to do. And once we find those other people that are better at the things that we're trying to do, we really recognize what, our superpower is. And so I'm glad you've leaned into, the sub model, because that really is the way of the future. Less people on site that are internal and more professionals in each industry to help you kind of facilitate those projects. What are some of your favorite subs like that got on board with JobTread?
I mean, my tile installer, my drywall finisher. That was huge. And then you mentioned I did all the tile and stuff in-house, just wrapping up our first project with the new installer. And she's certified with CTI, which is awesome. Shows her skills off, but she left a little sign next to her bucket that said, like, hey, you can dump your mud in here. And so I'm like, man, they're serving each other. They're working together already. It was just amazing to see. But probably my electrical contractor and HVAC as well. They're older. I think they're probably 20 years older than me. So I'm like, this is a toss up. I might be looking for new people here. I can't go without this. But yeah.
I think you mentioned in one of the calls that one of your clients was an elderly gentleman that was using JobTread, because like contractors always talk, like I have a couple that I'm still working with that talk about, the customer resistance to using the software. Wasn't it you that mentioned that you had an older client?
Yeah, so we're just wrapping that one up. She's 82, and she didn't even mention any problems with it. Like, I think it's so easy. Like if they can use email and a smartphone, they can use JobTread. It's really
Yeah.
pretty simple. So
Oh, that's awesome. So yeah, JobTread's
yeah.
for anyone. If anybody's looking for JobTread, not that I'm trying to sell anything, if you go into my Instagram, there is a link that you can book a free discovery call with them. So go to the contractor coach and pop that link. And JobTread, we're trying to firm up a bit more of an official partnership with JobTread, just to help them continue to grow and expand, and integrate them with so many of the contractors in the community. And so I'm glad that's been really effective for you. So the future for Intermagic is to continue to push forward, grow, develop. What has it been like working with us a little bit? Not that I'm asking for shout out or anything, but you might as well share a little bit of your experience with us.
Yeah, I mean, I would say you really helped give me a second wind last year,
Love
because
that.
last, let's say April, I went for a couple of months without any projects or anything like that. Really, I was trying to manage so much without JobTread and on, paper and notebooks, to where, I've still got marks of shingles on my face because
Right, I
it
remember you went through
stressed me
that.
out so much. And yeah, so I've got like the largest project I had done at the time, which was a full basement remodel going on, where I was like framing, hanged all the rock, managed the whole thing. And those clients were pregnant as well with their first kids. She's like, hey, we have a hard end date. This needs to be done by this date. And then, I'm like a month ahead of schedule, but then I get hit with shingles and I'm sleeping 12 to 14 hours a day for like 3 weeks, because it just knocked me out completely. It's unlike anything I'd ever experienced.
So we gave you
So,
another win. I love that, dude. You know what? Sometimes that's all you need, is just a little confidence booster and a little motivation to support you. And and there were times when I started my business, I didn't have that, and so that's exactly the reason why we created this community and this support tool, is to give you another win, another second wind, so to speak. Because I truly, when we first met, I met with you and your wife, and we were talking about working together. I truly believed that you could be great. You possess, what you're well spoken, you're clean, you come off very organized and methodic with your decisions. And I think all you really needed was just some clear direction on, what you should do and what you shouldn't do, and what would be beneficial and what will not. And I mean, you just needed a little bit more gas and a little bit more direction, and you got it. And I think, the next couple of years of your life as a, remodeling contractor, whether it's just kitchens, whether it's just bathrooms, will continue to be successful. So I'm happy for you, and I'm happy for you and your wife and the little girl. When's little baby coming along?
end of July.
End of July. So this is airing May 25th. So
Great.
it'll be close. It'll be getting close.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, dude. Well, anything else you want to share with us today?
Yeah, I mean, just thanks again for all the support. We kicked things off last year because you helped sell my wife, to help invest more in the business. And, after I'd done as much as I could, and, believed in me and helped encourage me. So really appreciate that.
Yeah, 100%, man. I know how hard it is, because I've been there as well. And I really just want to give, you guys the support that you need in that time when you need it, where you're, in the weeds and you're second guessing yourself and this imposter syndrome's taking over. It's like, I mean, you've done successful projects. You're capable of doing more of them. We just need the right reps at the right time. So excited for you and your wife and the little one that's coming. Excited for the growth of Intermagic. Again, if you want to give Jacob a follow, you can head over to Intermagic Kitchen and Baths. There we go. Yeah, Intermagic Kitchen and Bath. Go check him out. Go follow his content. And if you're looking for a remodeling contractor in, where are you again, Jacob?
Rochester, Minnesota.
In Rochester, Minnesota. Go check out Jacob. You'll be glad he did. Thank you so much. And until next time.
All right, that concludes this episode of the On-Site Podcast. Remember, if you enjoyed this episode, please pay the tax, share the show. Guys, if you want to be a part of the Elite Builder Society, all you got to do is pay $49 a month. That's it. $49 a month. You get 20 group coaching calls every month. Okay? Go to ebsworks.com and register today. If you enjoyed the show, please pay the tax and share the show.